Hi, I'm Emma McCann. Today I want to chat about having an inspiring space. An inspiring space is basically a space that you love to be in. And so much of what I say and so much of what I talk about will describe a concept to you and then say it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's not about having this particular setup here, for example. It's about creating something that is meaningful to you and that you feel good to be in and that inspires you. So for me, a lot of what I like to do is I like to have things that tell a story. I like things to have history. And then I often go around the house and I'll move things from one place to another, kind of every 6 months. I just, pull everything together and go, right, I'm going to take this bowl, for example, up onto some shelves that I've got in another room. So things can move around. It's not about having to have things that only go in a certain room or creating something that looks like it came out of a designer home magazine. It's creating a space that you love to be in. And so when you're walking around in the shops, whether you're looking for something or not, or you're browsing a magazine and a surgery, or you go to a friend's house, or you're out in nature and something inspires you, take note of what it is. Take note of the colors, take note of the pattern or the texture. Take note of whether it's the particular material. So I recently bought a teapot that has, a good size cup in it. Like it'd be a big mug's worth. But it's a teapot for one. But it's more than, say, a little cup and saucer type thing. And I loved it for its texture. It was a matte finish, not a highly polished porcelain. And its lines are smooth. It's not round, but it's kind of smooth. And so in a way, it's quite feminine. They were in pastel colors as well, a pink, a white, and a blue. And then they had just a flat metal lid that went across the top. I just loved it. I mean, I can't really explain what it was that I loved about this teapot, but it called to me. It's almost like it sung to me. And the same when I found my Tibetan bowl. And they had some small ones, small singing bowls that, you can ring on the inside, those small ones, because they're made to be symmetrical and to hold the shape. But the big ones are not made for that. They're made to dong, and they're not symmetrical. And I remember holding that bowl, but at the time my self-worth didn't really allow myself to spend a huge amount of money on me. That was still quite difficult. And so I put the bowl back and I was going to get a small one. And I remember one of my friends said to me, Emma, it was something like, you're selling yourself short. And I just really sat with that. And I put that bowl down and I picked up that big one again and I just stood there and it felt like mine. No matter what the price tag was, it felt like mine. And I bought that bowl and I have never been sorry that I bought that bowl. From probably the day after I stopped being worried about how much that bowl cost. And that bowl gets used every week, multiple times a week usually. When I taught yoga regularly, I used it a lot more than I do at the moment, not teaching regular classes. But it's an amazing way to bring ritual and practice into my life. And so that bowl, whenever I look at it, it's part of my inspiration. And this setup that I've got right here, for example, this bowl, this is a piece of kauri timber that is basically a swamp timber. It's thousands of years old from swamps in New Zealand. My husband's from New Zealand and we bought it as one of our souvenirs from a holiday. So it's at one stage been at our front door to hold our keys as we walk in, or anything that we need to take with us that's small enough to fit in the bowl would just sit there. And then like these candlesticks, they were wedding presents. This is a painting that I've done. And this I bought at the first markets that I ever did when I was painting a few years ago before I did this, and I thought that what I wanted to do was sell my paintings. And I just saw this and I loved it, so I bought it. And then in here, something that you can't see there, I actually bought these trivets to give to my mother as a Christmas present many years ago. And I just could never part with them, particularly this one. I decided that actually I bought it for myself. And so they usually live there because that's a really accessible place for them to be, but they have a story, right? And so all these things that I have in my home are things that I try to collect because they're inspiring. Well, not collect, that sort of sounds quite consumery, and I don't like to be consumery. It's not part of my values. But it's things that I feel good about, things that I know are also going to work in my space. So, for example, our bedroom, we wanted a white doona cover, and I wanted to create textures, and I really wanted it to be calming. I wanted it to feel like a sanctuary. And it does. It feels like that every time I walk in, as long as it's neat. Every time I walk in, it feels like a sanctuary. And it's in part the colouring, but it's in part the natural fibres and textures that I've then tried to bring into the space, and the way that I've done the layering, and the room isn't busy with texture. And there's some people that have particular ways of decorating that, you know, I've had one person come in and say, oh, it's a shame you haven't put anything above the bed. And I'm like, well, I've got 11 pillows on my bed. Why do I need something above my bed? You know, there's enough there for me for the look that I'm trying to get. And the room is unfinished. I do want something on that wall, but it won't be above the bed because there's enough there to draw my eye to. And if I add something above the bed, I think it's going to make it look cluttered, and I want it to be calming. And so it's also about being able to be really clear when other people give you feedback like that. And I have to say that that person is the only person that has not walked into that space and said, wow, this is so beautiful, it's really calming. That, you know, it feels like a sanctuary. That, you know, take a grain of salt from what people are saying, take the part of it that, you know, means something to you, because it's actually not their space, it's your space, and it's about the intent that you want to create. So the rest of my house has a lot of bold and bright colours. So to create a sanctuary in the bedroom was something that was really, really, really important to me. And so, yeah, it's not about, you know, what it is that you're getting. It's about how it sings to you, how it calls to you. And that's not always an economic decision. And we do a lot of things based on economic decisions. I'd love to know what you do with this. Do you feel inspired by the space that you're in already? And if not, is there one small thing that you could change so that you can feel inspired when you walk into your home? I hope this serves you. Bye.